we have a Canon Pixma TS3522 printer that we're going to use to go over some ink cartridge problems that these have. And if you're having the same problem, we're just going to point out a few things that you can check in order to get your ink cartridge fixed or get your printer back to printing. So don't forget to like, please stay with us, and let's go over those things right now. So the first thing that we're going to do is, number one, we're going to check to make sure the ink cartridge that we have, or the one that we installed, is actually good and ready to go. So the first thing that we need to check is get the cartridge out, the cartridge that's given us problems. Let's remove it from the printer. Okay, so what we're going to do is just go ahead and open the front cartridge cover and let the cartridges slide to the position to remove them. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the cartridge just by pressing this down. So these are not Canon brand cartridges, and this might be your case as well. If you bought or refilled ink cartridges that are not from Canon, that is not a problem. It's just sometimes they're going to have an issue. So what you're going to make sure first is make sure that there's nothing here, that you remove the tape that came in the packaging, Canon cartridge or not. That's the first thing that you're going to check. Make sure there isn't any ink over here that's just kind of sitting like a drop, kind of more than what, for example, this cartridge is. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead and make sure the tape is removed here. It comes with every cartridge when you put a new one in, and just wipe this down with some paper towel if that's the one that's giving you a problem. So this is an original Canon brand cartridge, and on my printer I didn't have any problems. I'm just going over some things that are going to affect this issue, and it may give you an error. So once again, make sure there isn't any packaging here or tape, and this does not have any ink just kind of dropping from here. So after you've done that, let's get to the second thing, and that would be to check these connections right here, the golden pins. So the golden pins that you see right there, make sure they're clean, and you can wipe them down with some alcohol swabs. I went ahead and unplugged the printer for this portion, so just make sure you can reach this. Make sure you have tweezers or something around that you can just use in order to get in there, and use just a regular alcohol swab. Why alcohol swab instead of paper towel? Because paper towel pieces can stay there, and we don't want that to happen. So these golden pins right here, kind of in the back there, that's what we need to clean, especially if you see some ink on it. So those pins right there, they shouldn't attract any lint, because it's just they're kind of like a mountain type, or a pin that's not like a hook, so you should be good there. Okay, and after you've cleaned those, don't install the cartridges yet, just let it dry, and we're going to go ahead and plug the printer back in. And that's the second thing that you need to check. The third that we need to check is if you've gone through things here, if it's still giving you a problem, make sure you know which cartridge it is, and the screen should show that. If you can't understand the little screen here on the printer, then you can always use your computer or your phone in order to see exactly which cartridge is giving you the problem. So when you buy these online, I've honestly had a case where I bought a genuine HP cartridge for my HP printer, and it didn't work. It just gave me errors. So with ink, you can't really return them back to the store, but you may contact HP for that, or take it back to the store and just tell them, I got this one. This is the cartridge that I got, and it's giving me problems. When you get aftermarket ink cartridges such as this, Amazon and eBay are going to have a lot of them. So once in a while, at least about 10-15% of the cartridges, they're going to be faulty some way, because they check it, but somewhere along the line, maybe while the machine is refilling it or whatever, there was a problem or it damaged the cartridge. So if you have a cartridge like this here and it's giving you an error, just go ahead and do the return form and just try a different seller or the same seller. If you were buying something from them and you'd never had a problem, then all of a sudden you do have a problem. So just use that return policy. I'm a seller myself, and I absolutely understand that these things can happen, especially when they're mass produced and mass refilled, trying to use the old cartridge or like old Canon cartridge. So that's something okay. You're being honest about it. You've gotten it. Of course, they have no way of checking if you used up the ink, and they're probably not going to do that. But just, you know, I understand that we are supposed to be honest about things like that, and just let them know that this cartridge is not being accepted by the printer. Another thing with these here, with any cartridge, is you have to make sure you got the right cartridges. If you're buying the remanufactured or refilled cartridges, make sure you got the right one. Make sure you have the right printer model. And with this particular one, you can really mix it up, because this is a TS3522, and Canon has MG35 series printers, MG3520, MG3620, and I get that a lot. I sell parts, and I sell parts for MG series and TS series, and I would have people buy a part for a TS printer. For example, a TS, just last week somebody bought a TS3520 part, but they have a MG6220 printer. There's also a Canon Pixma. So obviously it's a very different printer. TS series printers just started maybe 5 or 6 years ago. MG series, they're about 15 years old. So obviously the build is going to be very different, and that's something that you'll need to look into it. This is the model right here, TS3520, and USA uses 275 and 276 cartridges. In other countries it might be different, but if you were to have MG3520 printer or MG3522, you would have a different, there's going to be a huge difference between the ink cartridges. It's going to be like 240 or something like that. So it's something that you need to check into. That's usually when getting a new cartridge in. But if you had a printer working and then all of a sudden it stopped, check into that. And then also, an important thing is if your ink cartridge is not putting out any color, we can always use either, first thing we can use is just wipe it with some alcohol. Another thing we can do is just soak it into some solution in order to dissolve the ink. For example, if you haven't used the printer for a while and then your cartridges stop, or you're trying to print something and it's not printing anything on paper, just maybe one color is putting out or no black, for example. So what you need to do, or there's lines. So it just needs to be cleaned over here, especially if it shows that your ink cartridges are pretty good. So for us to just clean it, what I use is just about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch of cleaning solution. I would usually use Windex or similar brands, or just a window cleaner. And you can just put about this much of the ink cartridge, about 1/8 to 1/4 inch, into that solution and just let it stand there. You can also try it with some hot water or warm water. You can also try hot water mixed with the solution. That would make it warm. So you would just put the ink cartridges in there, give it about an hour, and then after it's all done soaking, you can just tap it on the paper towel like so. You can see a healthy stamp right here. just drain of any water. So this cartridge seems to be good, and that's what yours should look like also. Here's some light for us. So that's a good stamp right there. So this card should be good. Make sure you wipe this also. Let's get to our, whoops. If it gets wet anywhere else, it's not a big deal. You just don't want it to be wet on here when you install it in the printer. Same thing with cleaning the contacts in the printer. Make sure they're dry before you install ink. So this one has given us a good stamp as well for all three colors. So that's what yours should look like too. So that's just a few tips what to look for when you have ink cartridge problems. Don't rush to throw away your printer or your cartridges. Just play with them a little bit, because these cartridges, they cost so much money, especially if you're not getting the aftermarket ones. If you get it from Canon, then they cost so much that you just give yourself some time and try to fix and get rid of the error, so you could continue printing at no additional cost. Okay, so that's gonna do it for our Canon TS3520 and similar printer models in cartridge problem that we went over. So thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment in the section below, subscribe to our channel if you like it, and we'll try to post more videos to help you keep your printers alive and working well.